Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison, and I want to welcome everyone to our 2022 program of the Great Books. As you all know, those students who are taking it for credit, we've been having the Great Books for a number of years. Georgie Szabo and I, Georgie's our Dean of Graduate Studies. As a graduate institution and as individuals, we love books, and books that are great, stand the test of time, and they transform lives because a great book has an intelligence of its own, independent of yours. And when you read a book, you're just delving into another consciousness. And the great books that speak to people across cultures and across time are the books that we seek out year after year. And this year we have 6 wonderful books. And we're going to be starting with a contemplation of infinity out of a book that was written by Maitreya, who will be introduced in a moment or so. And then that'll be for January and February. And then in March and April, I'll be doing a contemplation on Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, written out of the depths of Auschwitz and the concentration camps. And then May, June, we'll be having Thomas Hübl, who many of you know. He's in the process of getting a PhD from Ubiquity on trauma. And he's going to be doing a meditation on the Tao Te Ching, the great work coming out of the 6th century BC China, contemporary of Confucius and the Analects. And then in July, August, we'll be having Carolyn Baker with a series of lectures, 2 lectures on Lent's work, The Web of Life, really looking at the contemporary reality that humanity is in a much larger, much more intricate ecosystem. And then in September, October, we'll be having Constantina Clark, who took her PhD with Ubiquity, a brilliant dissertation on John O'Donohue, that many of you know, the great Irish mystic. She's going to be doing a review of Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor of 2nd century Rome, the Stoic emperor who wrote the Meditations, which he wrote to himself as emperor, just to kind of keep himself calm and on the Stoic path. And then we're going to conclude the year with our dear Georgie Szabo, who's been reading Montaigne's essays, which are brilliant essays coming out of the Enlightenment, France. So that's the spectrum of books: ancient, modern, East and West, and philosophical, spiritual, autobiographical. It's going to be a great year for our Great Books program. And all the students, as you know, need to write an essay at the end of each trimester. So 2 books. You have to write an essay each trimester on the 2 separate books. You can compare them. You can do them separately. And you'll find all that information in your syllabus. But right now, everyone, I want to introduce Kala Perkins, who has an amazing biography, who's literally traveled the world seeking to understand both ancient and modern perspectives on cosmology and how we understand even the notion of infinity, the notion that the cosmos is infinite. And there was a great mystic, Maitreya, in India, who contemplated these matters in a book called Infinity, that Kala is going to illumine for us. So Kala, I want to thank you for joining She was on Humanity Rising and gave a lecture that was so brilliant that people are still talking about it. And so it was out of that we began to discuss her doing something more comprehensively. So Kala, thank you so much. And welcome to Humanity Rising. After Kala finishes her lecture, which will last about an hour or so, Georgie Szabo will have an opening question and comment. And then we want to hear from all you students for the balance of the time. So welcome, Kala. I turn the program over to you.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's a joy and a privilege to be here with you and sharing on infinity. First, Maitreya is very much alive. He is a bodhisattva in the Buddhist tradition and has a body no longer subject to the mortality that we do as we understand it at any rate. But we'll go into that more. It's precious to be able to share this with you today. And I just want to offer that Jim also had a path that crossed in similarity with how I found this book. So when I was 16, I decided that it was very much time to find a teacher. And I went to a bookstore in Los Angeles called the Bodhi Tree Bookstore in Melrose and picked this book off the shelf, Infinity 1, and it launched me on a very sacred and very long path. And in conversation with Jim, I found that those who wrote this, those to whom the book was given, and the husband who was Nicholas Roerich, Jim also encountered his family and his works in Russia. So let us begin. What is Agni Yoga? And I'm going to screen share, first of all, so you will be able to appreciate some of these beautiful images. So first of all, Agni Yoga was given as 14 books to a woman.
Kayla, you're not full screen. Why don't can you open it up full screen?
Yeah, I will. But first, I just wanted to do the introduction.
There you go.
It jumps very quickly. All right, so we'll go to infinity as I do the introduction of the books, and we'll move back to the slides. So 14 books were given by Maitreya, 5 by Maitreya, and the others by one of the great spiritual teachers of India, to a woman named Helena Roerich. They were originally in Russian and translated into English for us, as well as several other languages. Her husband was a great artist, and together they traveled through all of Central Asia, he painting the beautiful wisdom of nature, as well as all of the spiritual traditions and the mythologies, and she writing these books and teaching in the process. Agni Yoga is not a set of exercises or particular practices. Rather, it's a path of striving aspiration, impelling us to immersion in the fires of spirit and of cosmos for the transformative liberation of ourselves and our world through beauty, truth, wisdom, and intense creative striving. All books are freely available to download from the Agni Yoga Society in New York on their website. So today we will explore Infinity 1. Next month we'll delve into Infinity 2, and then I will be offering a short course blending these materials and some of the other materials by Maitreya in the Buddhist literature, as well as some ideas deeper into the concept of infinity. So today we'll begin with Maitreya's own preface to the first book of Infinity, and then I'll share some thoughts and a brief overview of some of the key ideas in the text. Next, together, we will embark on our Himalayan journey, exploring more of Maitreya's teaching regarding infinity, gathering our own rays and transformative fiery threads to weave our magic tapestry to the realization of infinity. Maitreya says that it is not far away from us. Though it is boundless and requires our striving, it is everywhere. It is the very fabric of being itself. So who is Maitreya? Let's go to the beginning here as we whirl through the fires of space. Excuse me. So Maitreya is a bodhisattva. He's literally that means awakened harmony. In Sanskrit, bodhi is awake, sattva, spiral forward motion. He is one of the first disciples of Sakyamuni, or he was the historical Buddha, and he's destined to be the next world Buddha of this coming age of truth, Satya Yuga. In another of his texts, he says, it is up to humanity when exactly we will progress from Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, at the end of which we are clearly now breathing, to Satya Yuga, the age of truth. Yet we see a good portion of humanity has already chosen the light. Clearly, we are in the great battle, and it is truth that is crucified, profoundly in need of vital life, resurrection, and transfiguration in our world. As we choose truth, we enter the new age. We are told that Maitreya actually has a physical body, though relative to ours, it is far subtler, made of light and the fires of the infinite, not subject to mortality as ours is. He is said to actually live somewhere in the Himalayas amidst beautiful pine trees and daily to bless and watch over humanity and whatever else it is that he does, not being bound to mortality or to planetary boundaries. Now here is, I have brought up some images of Maitreya, some from the, just a moment, please, if I can. All right, we'll go back here. My throat is being entertaining. So these are some pictures of sculptures of my statues of Maitreya from Tibet. And I want us to just notice he is always pictured with blue eyes. And so there is a bit of a mystery here in that, which we will touch on in a moment. But these are statues of Maitreya from the temples in Tibet, where he is well known and highly revered. There is actually a Maitreya Upanishad in the ancient Hindu texts. Here Maitreya says, the Lord is within the heart of each person. He is the witness of the reason's dance and the object of utmost love. One must renounce the world to achieve rapture of the self and become one with the one. The best renunciation is one, Maitreya states, where one abandons pride, wealth, delusion, and lust. When delusion dies, a person is enlightened. It is very Buddhist. There are actually 4 books in the Buddhist literature written by Maitreya, aside from the infinity ones that we will be looking at today, and he appears in various other Buddhist treatises. There are many pictures and statues of him as a bodhisattva. As I mentioned, this one is in Lhasa. Yet his intense emphasis is on the qualities of the fiery spirit in infinity. As the great mysteries go, we are told in the theosophical literature that in former incarnations, he was Lord Krishna of the Bhagavad Gita, among other world teachers at various times. Maitreya has a Kashmiri body with blue eyes and light blonde colored hair. This is not unusual amongst the Kashmiri population of northwestern India due to various migratory flows of peoples. Extending the mysteries and stories, I'm sure many of you are aware of the tales of Jesus visiting North India in the lost years of his teaching. And so this idea with, and there are tales about him there in Kashmir. So with the story of Jesus, the dark-haired Semitic man, why is it that he is pictured as the Christ so often as with blonde and blonde hair and blue eyes? And curiously enough, we find such images as this in France in Le Sacré-Cœur, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Christos. And the idea is that Maitreya actually, as the Christ, overshadowed Jesus for 3 years. So there is a mystery here, and I don't want to offend anyone in traditional Christendom. This is what we are told in the Theosophical wisdom, and as is there in all of the traditions, we must inquire for ourselves to understand what is truth. We must find it in our own heart, and you're certainly welcome to ask them or anyone else about this. But therein is a mystery, that this blonde-haired, blue-eyed gentleman is indeed Maitreya and Christ being one and the same. So we are told that it is the telescope of straight knowledge that is required to discern truth and our rightful path forward. We must forge this through our striving, discernment, our heart, and the cultivation of our intuition. In Sanskrit, Buddh is literally that field which corresponds to what we call intuition in English, the field of straight knowledge and intuitive knowing. So we began. From the preface of Maitreya's book, we give the book infinity, and I'm going to go, some of these pictures are from Nicholas Roerich, and we will return to them as we proceed, but we will begin in our infinity. So we give the book infinity. Is it worthwhile to speak of infinity if it is unattainable? But it does exist, and everything great, even if invisible, compels us to think about the ways to it. Thus, even now, let us ponder about the ways into infinity, for it exists. Even in the earthly life, one can approach and can temper the spirit toward acceptance of the unfathomable. So let's think for just a moment, how unfathomable is infinity? If we go to our primary school mathematics, I ask you, how many numbers are between 0 and 1? There are infinite numbers. How many irrational numbers are there? We learn this in primary school. Therefore, there are infinite infinities between 0 and 1. This is amazing to think about. Infinity is not far from us. It is everywhere. And as Maitreya says, it is the very fabric of existence. And we'll go more into the mathematics of infinity later in our course. Verily, by comparison with infinity, we realize the scope of our grievances and triumphs. This is imperative to remember, and for the nations. Hence, the level of thinking in many countries should be stabilized just now. So he was writing this in 1930 before World War II. And the conditions in our world, unfortunately, have many similarities. Since the reminder about infinity is especially important when arguments over falsehoods are taking place. Very applicable for our time. Therefore, we shall offer the radiance of the rays of infinity, into which there is carried not only the spirit, but even the stones, in a blending, as it were, of loftiest creation with grossest matter. But in the whirlwind of eternity, the stone and the spirit are imponderable, for they are drawn into the same magnet. The very realization of the magnet increases the attraction, focusing it upon intensification of currents. These same vortices conquer space, and you do not know from which sphere the invisible electron reaches you. How true this is. We are bathed in the fires of space, in the rays of the stars. We don't know where the electron is that's dancing in our body, on our skin, as we live and move and breathe in the infinite that we inhabit and that we are emergent from and as. So I have taken selections of different small phrases throughout the book Infinity, which I'm sharing with you, and which we will explore as we go, moving in and out of my comments and Maitreya's text. He says, eternally moving, eternally striving, eternally aspiring to the heights, eternally manifesting vigilance, affirming truth, manifesting the radiant thread of the mother of the world by the armor of infinite beauty, assailing the darkness of ignorance, promising to the abode of humanity the glory of the stars. Thus walk, saying, world, I wish to accept all thy gifts. I wish to fill to the brim the chalice of attainment. I wish, O Lord, to drain the chalice of the wisdom of thy covenants. So that is our itinerary for the journey. So here we are going to I'm going to enumerate a few key ideas that Maitreya presents within the book Infinity and examples of these. So first of all, he says, let us utilize the entire creative force of space. Picture the entire space radiating fire with an unprejudiced eye. Imagine the space containing prana, breath, and akash, vital energy. It is not the great creator, nor the great builder. It is infinity. This is key in Maitreya's teaching. The nature of reality is infinity. At the approach of Satya Yuga, the age of truth, these spatial forces will be utilized consciously. And we are approaching that in our sciences. We are learning about these powerful energies in space, and we are attempting to use them to create energy systems. More on that later. The power of the cosmic fires, prana and akash, psychoplasm, to sweep away the dust of vanity and uselessness. So other key ideas, very central to the text, are cosmic reason, actuated by the dynamic of cosmic justice and the cosmic magnet. These three. Cosmic justice is aware of the design of evolution, and the plan is executed in accordance with the design of one and the same law of the fire of the mother of the world. So this is a beautiful painting by Nicholas Roerich of the mother of the world, the great symbol, the one who has veiled her eyes so that she's concentrated on seeing and being present and being aware of all beings in the world, to hold and heal and awaken. What is awesome here to me is the attribution by and the recognition of the awareness of the design of evolution by cosmic justice itself. It is an awareness that fills space, according to Maitreya, and this is brilliant. Everywhere in Maitreya's teaching, the aliveness of space, the aliveness of cosmos, as like a living organism, is present. Cosmos is animated, is surging with vitality and vital energies. Cosmic fires, which we are to become aware of, nourished by and strive into the currents of and for the sake of transformation and co-creativity. For Maitreya, all of cosmos is alive, saturated with life. And the mother of the world, like the Shekhinah in the Kabbalah, who with her infinite veils of creative luminosity creates all the infinities of forms for beings on earth and throughout the cosmos. The cosmic magnet and the perfect heart function as the primary cosmic movers, imbued with consciousness and intentionality. Cosmos is inherently alive, imbuing all with psycho-life and psycho-being, both one and infinite in its omnidimensionality and creative perpetuity. Even in the days and nights of pralaya, occurring in the cycles, the days and nights of the great one, Brahma, of cosmos across scales and dimensions, with the days, the manvantaras of cosmos, the primal cosmic field in the great depth of its night is yet vibrant, Maitreya tells us. And we note dark energy, this force expanding, pulling the cosmos into ever greater expansion, eventually dissolving it, very similarly to this idea of the cosmic magnet. And then the Buddha says, I gained nothing whatsoever from this process of incarnation except wisdom. So it seems that all dissolves eventually through the force of the cosmic magnet and the perfect heart into primary wisdom. Sofia Jnana. We will look now at our flaming Sophia. This is Sophia painted by Nicholas Roerich, riding through the flames of space, holding the banner of art, science, and religion in the circle of culture, blessing the nations through the radiant flames and the fires of infinity with the beauty of wisdom. Absolute reason and the perfect heart are one and the same source. When we say that the flow of life issues from this essence, humanity may accept this truth. The creativeness of the cosmic magnet is concentrated on extracting the life emanations from the surging energies. The power of the perfect heart saturates all cosmic currents, and from these emanations are combined all manifestations of life. Life is this churning emanation of infinity in combined radiant rays of beauty that creates the forms of existence. This is what we are told. We understand it in our science. In the presentation by Maitreya, we're penetrating into the deep infinity of the beauty of creation. The perfect heart can express all potentialities of nature to such an extent that any form can find life. The perfect heart contains within itself all the nascent life manifestations of the creative forces. Absolute reason from which humanity derives its striving essence affirms solicitously the creative manifestations. The constructive work of cosmic energies is directed by the perfect heart. So this idea of the heart, the lotus heart within us, as our heart beats, it's just like an unfolding, pulsing lotus. Every moment, the blood is pulsed out through one side of our body, filled with new oxygen. It dissolves into the heart from the other, filled with the carbon dioxide that we breathe out. Our breath and our heart and our blood through our whole body is like this pulsing lotus, birthing and breathing in each instant. And the whole universe as well is like this. The heartbeat of the sun, where the plasma in the sun pulses from its equator to its poles over 11-year cycles. And the whole universe, like a heartbeat from the tiniest, the seed of the cosmos, we call it the Big Bang, but understood in the Asian traditions is that it's really opening like a lotus, the universe, as it's expanding. All these galaxies like it's atoms, but pulsing like a lotus unfolding. And these reiterations of the human heart, the solar heart, the cosmic heart, are throughout space, these correlations. We are to strive endlessly, relentlessly toward infinity and the far off worlds. Incessantly in infinity, Maitreya compels us to seek the far off worlds. He tells us that the higher mysteries and the higher laws of life will be found in the very dynamic process of our quest, that ourselves and our world will be thereby transformed by our quest seeking the far off world. And now we have the James Webb Space Telescope that was launched on Christmas Day just this last year, off to seek new worlds in space as one of its primary goals. We know that we have now found in one tiny area of space more than 4,500 other solar systems, planets encircling their own stars. And we think that more than half the stars do in fact have planets, our solar systems. So if you can imagine in our universe with hundreds of billions or trillions of galaxies, each with their own billions of stars and so many planets. And we understand that all the stuff in the universe, all in the cosmic dust, there are organic molecules very much like and exactly the same as those of which our bodies and our planet is formed. So it was only in 1923 for the first time that our modern science understood that the nebulas in space are actually other galaxies. But in the ancient teachings of Buddhism, of Jainism, and Hinduism, the infinities of other worlds, galaxies, and the infinity of space were seen by the inner eye of the meditating adepts. Many of the Buddhist treatises speak of the whirling, flaming lotuses in the depths of space, and these are approximately 2,000-year-old or more treatises. However, as one reads infinity and the concept of the far-off worlds and striving for them, the realization, which are so key to our evolution, Maitreya says, there is a sense that other dimensional worlds are being implied as well. Might there be other life forms in higher frequencies than our current vibratory consciousness and our technologies can ascertain for us, awaiting us, as Maitreya says, in eternity? Over half the gifts of cosmos yet await humanity in eternity, he tells us. Other dimensional beings to perceive and resonate with as we evolve in consciousness. Kabbalah speaks of the numerous arcana of realms of angelic beings that exist on higher domains and frequencies that do not experience the cycles of embodiment and dissolution we call the bodily death. Maitreya tells us that we should awaken to the reality that our earthly sojourn is but a few years compared with our true existence in the incessant waves of the cosmic and spatial infinity, that earthly life begins and ends meeting in space, our eternal abode, not for rest, but rather for boundless co-creative cooperation and creativity on higher dimensions and other worlds with cosmos. He impels us to awaken from the stupor of the delusion of an end to existence. And he awakens us to remember that the beginning of this journey of infinity is just here and now in our earthly life, where, though it is difficult, the heights may indeed be attained in consciousness. So these are more of Nicholas Roerich's beautiful paintings of the summits of Central Asia. The one on the right is In Quest of Shambhala. And these are the Himalayan summits. So another one of the key ideas in Maitreya's infinity is responsibility. Each one is responsible for ourselves, for our humanity, and to cosmos as co-creators. It's beautiful, he says, that if we do not develop and become receptive, conscious co-creators with cosmos, cosmos itself suffers. And that cosmos and the cosmic vibrations in resonance respond exactly to the aspirations and the resonance which we ourselves emanate. It responds in concert with the laws of higher harmony. Thus, we ourselves create our pathways into infinity, and that which will meet us in our spatial path into eternity and in the world beyond. Next, we have fusion, the psychofusion of the atom with vitality, of the human being with our inherent cosmopotentiality, including all the transformative, transfiguring dynamics of the path of becoming cosmically awakened beings. Our destiny is inherent in the seed of our being. Through fusion, like the processes taking place in a star, we forge our higher self-identity through application of the higher transmutative fires and energies of space and of infinity, of the cosmos, as we strive and co-create. Much of the actual physics that Maitreya refers to were not understood when he wrote this book in 1930. Yet we have since discovered much of the science. One of these things is atomic energy, which he mentioned, but we had not discovered. Yet we've now understood it, both for better and for our own endangerment. Yet the fusion processes that take place within the star is a potential energy source that many groups of scientists have for years been seeking to duplicate to give us endless, clean, and harmless energy. ITER is in Europe is one of these centers working on this, ITER. So we are spirits. We pass through many cycles on the earthly planes, completing our earthly paths. Sometimes we wait for lifetimes to achieve special missions of service or transformation, though we are eternal beings, having emerged from space. And within our own being, this transformational liberation as the human atom fuses with its potentiality in the infinite and within our own being. It requires tremendous effort and work, and it is one of the rarest, most unique processes in cosmos, the awakening, the fusion of the human atom with its inherent infinite potential. And we are told that cosmos and the higher worlds literally rejoice in the human liberation. The infinity, the individual, literally becomes a conscious co-creator with cosmos on higher and higher octaves. Excuse me. So tension, harmonization, and rhythm. A profound tension is required on this path of actualizing the endless harmonization and elements of creativity across and throughout cosmos, by and within and as sentience, in accordance with the realization of all the cosmic cycles and rhythms. The laws and principles of tension, harmonization, and rhythms are ubiquitous throughout cosmos. You must accept the true life of the cosmos for the full contemplation of infinity, Maitreya tells us. You accept simply the rotation of the seasons of the year and await the fruit of the rhythm of nature. You prospect ore beds, you build dams for electricity. Turn instead to the buried treasure of the invisible spheres and direct yourselves toward a creation manifested beyond the limits of your comprehension. Vast is the field of labor. Therefore perceive and enter into the rhythm of infinity. And where will be the night? Where you seem to perceive its hush, the rhythms of the mother of the world begin. Neither day nor night, only her radiance. To reverberate with the rhythm of cosmos means to realize the entire magnitude of infinity. Merging with the cosmic rhythm will provide the synthesis of all being in the invisible and the visible. It is likewise possible to invoke from space elements needed by our planet, think thus. I wish to sense the pulsation of the grandeur of cosmos. Can you imagine? I remember when I was studying astrophysics and cosmology in Australia, where the Milky Way is just above out in the darkness of the outback Australia. And it was like you were walking in the plane of the Milky Way by night. And you literally could feel in your body the rays of the stars, the depth of space. And we remember that this is literally our heritage. Up until very recently, we lived in the infinite. All beings every night saw the Milky Way. Now an amazing, crazy thing happened where once in one of the major cities in the US, there was a blackout and people were calling 911 to report strange sightings in space. They were calling to report the lights of the Milky Way that they had never seen. It's amazing to think now that many of our youth are growing up and they have never seen the dark sky of the Milky Way. What does it mean for our humanity? And for many species now, the light pollution and the energy and technology pollution that is keeping us from our billions and billions of years, the immersion of nature and humanity over the thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of our existence, the immersion in the infinite, in space itself. Maitreya teaches us that this immersion, and we know from our own experience, so those of us who have been in the outback, in the radiance of the cosmos, the presence of this. And so it's a serious consideration that we must return to our immersion in infinity. We are co-creators with cosmos. This is imperative to remember. It is our destiny, our raison d'etre, for not for a moment, but for eternity. The creativeness of cosmos is diffused in humanity. It means that only individual striving can propel one to that attainment which the mother of the world and we arhats proclaim as the higher sacrament. The spatial waves produce an effect which calls forth conscious creativity. Commune with the infinite, be a part of it, part of all the beauty of cosmic energy. One who can surround oneself with the realization of the grandeur of eternal, limitless labor of cosmos derives, one who cannot surround oneself with the realization of the grandeur of the eternal, limitless labor of cosmos deprives themselves of the greatest comprehension of life. If we can imagine we are eternal beings, part of the co-creative dynamic of cosmos, maybe infinite universes one after another, we are part of the singing creative fabric of the universe. The spirit of the one who invokes, arouses, and summons the cosmic power. We are part of this dynamic. The spirit who calls infinity to the aid of humanity becomes the helper of evolution. How vast is the limitless expanse of co-creative resonance with the rays and radiance of the cosmic spheres and fires, a higher creativity that creates with life, propelling the dynamics of the mother of the world. I'm moving between these images for you to appreciate the beauty and reflections. The cosmic magnet responds to the striving of the spirit. We are responsible for our own and our racial destiny. Cosmos and all its splendor, the saturate fires of creativity, vitality, and cosmic radiant joy are all accessible to us. Here, even in this earthly life, as in accordance with our own striving, our striving can change the whole course of life for ourselves, for humanity, and our planet. A breath of realization from the heart can uplift and transform worlds, Maitreya says. Absolute reason and the perfect heart are one and the same source. When we say that the flow of life issue from this essence, humanity may accept this truth. The creativeness of the cosmic magnet is concentrated on extracting the life emanations from the surging energies. The power of the perfect heart saturates all cosmic currents. From these emanations are combined all the manifestations of life. So we realize that each and every one of these paragraphs can open treatises for us to reflect on. In each one is contained infinite ideas and reflections. How is it that cosmos is blending all these rays for the whole spectra of different species, different expressions, different trees and flowers and birds and insects and stars and galaxies throughout the infinite? There are, it is very much in need of a course and of a lifetime of reflection to appreciate, of an eternity of reflections to become one with the dynamic creativity of infinity. So today we are just receiving the sparks that we can create our own paths with. We are born of the elements of cosmos and are inseparable, macrocosm to microcosm, and omni-suffusively. The centers of cosmos are identical with the centers of humanity. Humans bear within themselves all manifestations of cosmos. Significant are the evidences in humanity of the functions of cosmos. When they reflect in themselves all cosmic functions, humans measure through themselves the possibilities evident in cosmos. When a synthesis of the spirit is built from the cosmic fires, then the psycho-life of the heart, humans can be told that the centers of cosmic fires show analogy to the centers of cosmos and in the human body, that this parallel relation can grant a better life as we resonate with cosmos for our civilization. The principles of creativeness are established as infinite fire, as infinite vision, as infinite hearing, as the all-containing heart. Thus strive toward the fire of infinity. We merge in the comprehension of our relationship to the universe and to this manifest earthly world as we awaken to the true nature of ourselves as infinity. Coordination of the planetary life with the higher spheres will provide a better possibility for humanity. Then the rhythm of our forces will increase threefold, and reason will accept this power. Thus will the covenant of the wise ones be fulfilled. Inseparable is the blending of the higher invisible spheres with the visible. The breath of cosmos is immutable in everything. The manifestation of planetary periods depend on cosmic waves. Therefore, those who deny the link between the spirit and the cosmic worlds do not walk the path of knowledge. Is it admissible to perceive only one point in the all existing? Is it admissible to separate one tiny grain from the whole? Only madness sets limits for itself. Only those who are ignorant of the manifestation of beauty will say we are content with the existing. The assertion of cosmic and limitless forces is clear. The life-giving and eternal process goes on in all things. A spark ignites the cosmic fire. Verily, by the spark of desire is the torch of knowledge kindled, but do not impede your own path. Only strive, and your being will be flooded by the radiance of infinity. So His teaching is so powerful in these texts, the inspiration to the quest of infinity. He tells us that psycho-being permeates all, including the atom and the human being. The wings of existence in the psycho-life are measureless and carry the manifested fires into the heart of the sun itself. This reminds me of the indigenous people of the Andes, their definition of the heart as touched by doves. He uses the term beingness. Now, these are translations from the Russian. So whoever has translated this for us uses the term beingness as the idea that life is permeated by conscious reality. Beingness, the trans-eternal nature of truth, of life, the essence within the kernel of our being, and being itself exists, calls forth its perfectionment and realization as a fundamental cosmic principle, law, and truth. Our destiny is to realize ourselves as infinite co-creators in the eternal. I will read a little bit more with you, and then we will open our dialogue for this infinite and endless discussion on infinity with your inspiration, your questions, which you yourselves will have the answers to within your own hearts, most certainly, and I will try to offer as best I can. We return here to some of these beautiful images of the infinite and the infinite itself in our universe. Maitreya says, since beingness is flame, all dissolves in the flaming manifestations. Since beingness is fire, all is permeated with it. Since beingness is fiery expanse, our life is filled with cosmic energy. Foreseen in the cosmic fiery energy are all the manifestations which give life, which bear a new combination in each atom, and which bring the planetary life nearer to the construction of higher forms. We are told to strive invincibly toward infinity and to the far-off worlds, like a remote reflected ray, like a response of the heart. Seek in the infinite the expression unattainable on earth, but accessible to the spirit. The spatial fire and the far-off worlds in the cosmic understanding must live in the human consciousness as a distant goal. Refinement of the striving toward the spatial fire can open the path to the far-off worlds. All the manifestations of earth may be affirmed in one transport of higher harmony. We are to yearn for our communion with the far-off worlds in cosmos. The progress of the spirit is there, where we develop through the protective net of our communion with the fires of space and the far-off world. Containment of the all-encompassing heart of cosmos. Like an all-containing flame, the heart of cosmos is all-encompassing. How wondrous is this all-inclusiveness? From the small to the great, everything is refracted in this manifested crystal. Since all the cosmic possibilities provide a direction for each manifested soul, since each beginning has its propelled currents, since each one must realize the magnitude of cosmos, let us gather all the spirit that we may embrace it. As the creativeness of cosmos is inexhaustible, so let the understanding of infinity be indefeasible. The manifestations of ages in eternity the work of transforming the ocean and the crust of the earth may serve to illustrate the eternal motion. Verily, the beauty of striving toward limitless encompassment will provide a radiant rainbow, and we shall say, Mother of the world, all bestowing, all embracing, we wish to adorn our far off firmament. The Mother of the world is everywhere in Maitreya's teachings. The Mother of the world is throughout all the great teachings of the world. He calls her fabric materia lucida, the great material of light from which the cosmos is woven. You are right in calling materia lucida cosmic love. Verily, the universe is woven with the yarn of lucida and the lever of love. He tells us that the disparagement of matter that our world has achieved I will read it for you. The word materialism has assumed a monstrous significance, and yet materialism should be based on the all-pervading substance of the power of the infinite. Why this perversion of cosmic power? The symbol of the Mother of the world, giving form and purpose to the entire breadth of cosmos, transforming the kernel into incalculable manifestations, crowns our earth with beauty. The Mother of the world is the great creative force of our being, found in the ancient cults as earth, as sun, as fire, air, and water. She is all bestowing, all revealing. She who makes manifest to humanity the great joy of the Mother, who has indicated achievement and the fire of space. Restore our lost smile. Grant us the mastery of fiery might. So we understand that cosmic fire is a unifying force, that immortality is our destiny and our truth, that there is the deathless, the unborn, the abode beyond change, that Maitreya and Sakyamuni remind us are our destiny. Maitreya tells us everyone may earn immortality by admitting infinity into their consciousness. Fearlessness toward death and striving toward the infinite will provide the spirit with direction to the spheres of cosmos endlessness. Affirm yourself in the acceptance of immortality and infuse into each of your actions a spark of the creativeness of cosmic fire, and that inexorable fate will be transformed into the one call of cosmic life. Our just great law has chosen you as participants in the universal manifestations. Cognize immortality and cosmic justice. A beautiful step is prepared for everyone. Find the path of thinking about immortality. There is much more in the text, much more in the infinite, of course, infinitely more. I just want to read for you the very concluding phrase, the final paragraph in this particular book. Open, all of you can access it, can find it on the internet, can download it and explore it for yourselves. Maitreya concludes with, approaching Agni Yoga, we strive unwaveringly into infinity. The all-pervading element leads toward the far-off worlds. It is impossible to express limitless magnitude in one book or in 1 hour presentation. We must first mold the cognition of infinity. Just as striving conquers space, so also consciousness leads us into infinity. So I don't know if Jim is still here. We want to, Georgie.
Yes, hi Carla. I think Jim had to leave, but I'm here for you and the rest of the attendees. Thank you very much for this really beautiful, heartwarming presentation. And thank you so much for bringing the cosmos down to earth, more to it. As you were talking, there's a little story I would like to share with you, if you don't mind. Over 7 or 8 years ago, I was with an energy healer. We had a session, and I had a really profound out-of-body experience. I'm not going to tell you all the details, because really the end point, that's what I'd like to share with you. What's important here is that when he was calling me back to my body, I really didn't want to come back. I just wanted to stay where I was in the cosmos, or rather my soul was there, or my higher self, or I don't know what exactly, but I didn't want to come back. So he had to kind of like, forcefully really bring me back. And I said to him, Patrick, I really didn't want to come back. And he said, of course not, Georgie, because that's what we call home. That's where we're from. And as you were talking, that's what came to me, that's home. There really is our soul's home. Like clearly Mother Earth is our home too. We have so many homes, but I think deep down to the core, the cosmos, the universe is really our home. And the concept of infinity, I think it is such a beautiful, to me, that's how I can, it's hard to find sometimes really matching words to feelings. And but I could only find the word beautiful to the concept of infinity. I wanted to ask you that a question that is not just like you mentioned the words cognizing, that the cognitive, to understand, to really bring in the notion of infinity, but clearly it is about the experience. So are there any guidelines within the book, or any kind of like pointers to how to experience this infinity through meditation, to heart centering, or are there any other points that you could share with us?
So the whole book really is filled with these indicators of awakening, striving, what is the nature of reality. Reading the book, it's like you feel that you become suffused with Maitreya's quest. You become in the aura of the presence of that consciousness. And for me, so I picked up this book at the age of 16, and it's directed my whole life since then. It's become like a world that opened up for me. And I, of course, went in quest for the origins of the teachings in Asia. And I spent 10 years in Asia, in India, in Tibet, in robes, climbing around the Himalayas, and then seeking the teachings and the traditions and some of the Buddhist texts. And I've always felt Maitreya's presence in that, the idea of him impelling us to strive to infinity, the far-off worlds. I eventually went and studied astrophysics and cosmology, because of it in Australia, which was an amazing experience when you're in the outback and your body, like you were saying, you merge into the infinite. You literally do in the galaxy, in the galaxies beyond. Remember, at night I would send my mind to find out where the telescopes, what they were focused on. It was like the mind could join with the mind and the rays into the infinite. And let's say we were studying a particular galaxy or a particular polarized supernova or something like that, I would try to send my mind on those rays of space, because there's no boundary between us and the field of space. At
Sure.
that point, Maitreya says, and I mentioned it, psycho-hearing, psycho-seeing, sensing these will open through our own striving into infinity. The book is replete with these directives. We can apply them. It was beautiful because I miss it so deeply here, but I got to where I could really sense the sounds. Every star rings like a bell, literally. And there's no wall between us and the infinite. Our stuff, our body is made of these processes of dynamic exploding stars. So we resonate physically and psychophysically with the whole dynamic of cosmos. And our hearing, our sight, our sensibility develops when we immerse ourselves in these realities. So it's through our own striving, through our awakening, that our boundary is not our skin. It's not even, the sky that we see in the day, the night. These are, and the sun itself. He tells us about how our being, the sun is like a living presence. The plasma, our solar plexus resonates with the cycles of the sun, but we need to extend our consciousness and our striving in those directions to be able to participate in these. One thing that's really beautiful, when he's talking about the particles in space striving to experience life, which is incredible to think about. And then I thought, yes, I was working for years with someone who was studying the organic molecules in space. We found over 450 organic molecules in outer space, even in these realms like near the black hole in our galaxy. These organic molecules are the same things our body and our planet is made of, waiting to be incorporated into other worlds.
Absolutely.
Expressions of living organisms.
Yeah, no, thank you. But many times when I meet somebody new and ask that, where are you from, I always say that I'm recycled stardust. We all are really. And when you were talking about Australia, I was there once, many years ago, and I remember that how beautiful I could see the stars. And the camping where I was staying, there was a cosmologist, and he said to me that, well, when you're looking at that whatever particular stars, just imagine that light, what you're seeing now, that traveled 40 years to get to your eyes, right?
40 years or 40,000.
Or some of them are clearly the ones that are closer to us. But he said that like some of them actually are further away. And then when you see it, I was like, wow, that's incredible! 40 years ago. There's one more question I'd like to ask, then let's turn to our audience for questions. In the meantime, if any of you have any questions, either you can put your hands up or put your question or comment in the chat and I will read it out. Then, Carla, when you mentioned about the immortality of what exactly the book specifies, because clearly it is not our being as we are now in this body. So is it the soul? Is it the higher self? Is it what does the book implies, the immortality of?
This is so fascinating, Georgie, what you're saying. I've thought about it, and recently, there are all the classical ideas. We are the infinite immortal being having a living experience, having a human experience. I wrote a poem and I was wondering why does the planet human? So up until the whole cycle of the life of the earth, if the earth is the face of a clock, it's all these other organisms and chemicals in the oceans, and then dinosaurs, and eventually at 10 o'clock we get mammals and some of the species we know, the extinction of the dinosaurs, and then 3 seconds before now, 12 o'clock, this moment, humans occurred. But what is a human? We are this combination. 90% of our body is bacterial. 10% is what we call DNA. Did you eat anything today, Georgie?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's 8:10 in the evening for me.
Did you make sure where each particle went and that you would have some potassium in your brain to be able to think? Did you wind your heart up this morning so it would go for the whole day?
No.
So the whole universe is operating this organism, the history of the universe, the whole history of the planet, the biology, the particles, the rays, the energy. This is a cosmic organism. We think this is me. This is a cosmic biological and earthly biological organism. And this little thing called I, me, my, goes walking around on it, thinking this is my space, my this, my that, my idea, my whoever, whatever. But the very idea of an I, of consciousness, of a separate being from cosmos, it is cosmos itself. Just like electromagnetism vibrates and you get electrons, it's the field of electricity. Cosmic consciousness vibrates and creates these little I's, these little identities of self that can ensoul a cosmos called a human organism. This is a little cosmos. And at one little drop of cosmic identity, the I, the id, the ego, the idea, the identity, you take the little I with the dot. We have to remember the space in between I and the dot. That is we are a drop of cosmic identity. We are a ray from the cosmic sun that comes to the zygote at the moment of conception, and then cell division starts. Is that I the stuff the mother ate, turning into these cells? This ray of infinity, we are the infinite. The soul is an idea of a relationship between the temporal space-time and the infinite. Soul is the idea of relationship, relationality. It is a consciousness unit. And we're told that we enter this realm of expression to become co-creators with the cosmos of consciousness, of creativity, consciousness, and wisdom. When we return as souls in the infinite, we are continuing to be co-creative expressions that cosmos has sculpted of its own being, a drop of itself as co-creators of being within itself. The jewel, Om Mani Padme Hum, the jewel within the lotus that we cognize, our seed of immortality. But in the teaching, we're told we even go beyond that geometry of that seed. Eventually, we transcend the seed and become a function of identity, a note in the cosmic symphony. Consciousness.
Thank you. Well, I'm a Buddhist practitioner myself, so it all resonates with me. I just wanted to really clarify that the immortality of when you were talking about that, what exactly Maitreya meant. But let's see that chat, mesmerizing presentation. I'm grateful. Infinity one. That's from Lee Jacoby. Oh, hi, Leo. Did you recommend other texts at this site? He actually, that's
the Agni Yoga. Yes. Yeah. So 5 of these books were written by Maitreya, is what we are told, and the others by one of the other teachers. The ones by Maitreya, and you can kind of tell when you read them, and I recommend reading them all. They're beautiful texts. I grew up, so to speak, after age of 16, immersed in teachings for about, especially, for many years. But Infinity is the one, Infinity 1 and 2 are the ones that have most stayed with me. Heart is also very beautiful, written by our other teacher. So Infinity 1 and 2, Aum, and Community. we understand were given by Maitreya. These were given at like transcription that Helena Roerich, the wife of this amazing artist, she was very deeply in communion with these teachers and wrote them as transcription. So community, infinity 1 and 2, and Aum, as I understand, also maybe hierarchy were given by Maitreya. There are 5 of them, and the others by our other teacher. They're all beautiful. The book Heart, for many years, I carried that around with me. Infinity, I still have. It's like, it's part of my breathing. Since then, I've gone into working with several of the Buddhist texts that deal with these ideas. What's amazing is that in these Buddhist texts that are like 2,000 years old, they talk about the infinite worlds in space that science didn't know about, but we can contemplate and touch.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, are there any questions? Usually, Jonathan, you always have some comments, and maybe Eric. And
I also want to just add, there's a little compilation about on the sayings about the mother of the world. It's also very Please, questions, thoughts.
Yes. Oh, so sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah, I'm just looking at our attendees list, and we have a question from Susu. Yes, she's coming. Hi, Susu. Happy New Year. Can you hear us?
Her mic is open.
Thank you, Rick. Maybe there are some tech issues at her end. Hello. Okay, maybe there is some problem. But until
you can go ahead and talk because your mic is open.
Yeah, but there is maybe some issue at her internet connection. She just said in her chat that wait. Okay, we are waiting. But I think she disappeared at the but never mind. I really while we are waiting for her to come back, just maybe another reflection on your beautiful presentation. And this should be had on CNN and other networks as well. We should be listening to this infinity story, and then who we really are, and really away from.
Hello.
Oh, you're
Hello?
here now. Hi.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Go ahead.
So thank you very much for this presentation. This is so full of stories, and thank you to meet you here, and so great. And at the moment I'm just reading Stephen Baxter, and so I feel like I can really resonate with all what you're saying. And I had the idea that if everything in this, I have the idea that everything should be, for example, everything is connected, in the idea of everything is connected with other galaxies and other, so everything in the whole universe. So I was getting to the point that nothing should be, I don't know if this is the right word, but I think nothing should be diminished or something. Or nothing should be, nothing should be, because if everything's connected with this idea, and one thing is, it will lead to this domino effect. So the first point was that I can really resonate with all this, and that I think it's really like this, that there should be something in other galaxies, and despite of how they live there, and despite of how they exist there, and how they what they eat and what they everything. And but also, if everything is connected, I was thinking that despite to maybe other ideas, I think everything should be in this harmony, and everything should be in balance, and everything should, there's no negativity, I think.
What you're saying, if I'm gathering, is yes, it does resonate. The teachings so much resonate with our own bodies, with our own lives, and yes, everything, it is connected. So the harmony, the principles of harmony and rhythm, the same physics permeates the whole universe, and it permeates our bodies, and all of these, we resonate with the far off world. We resonate with other worlds, other stars, other galaxies. Yes, it is all connected. And because of this reality, it wakens in us that quest to experience more of the interdependence, the interrelatedness, and the connection that we actually have with the whole of the universe and other life. I think maybe that touches on what you're trying to express.
Yes, 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 this was that, yeah, completely, yes.
Thank you so much, Shushu. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shushu. While we're waiting for others, comments and questions, I'd like to ask you a question. That you mentioned that the first time you read the book, you were 16. Since then, you reread the book, I'm sure, countless of times. How have you changed since first time you read the book? Have you had lots of revelations, things changed within you throughout the years?
So definitely what you're saying. And as one encounters these books, and certainly as my initial work with the books was, you read a phrase or you read two phrases, and it's enough to chew on for the day. It's enough to work with, to transform yourself with, by applying the thought in your life, by bringing these thoughts to your moments in that day. Since then, I've gone into physics and astrophysics and cultures across the world. And it was really interesting for me to go back to prepare this talk, which Jim asked after our conversation when we realized we had this connection, to go back and look at some of these things, because much of the physics that Maitreya indicates in 1930s, we have encountered. String theory, the idea that there is no such thing as matter, is understood by people who have physics. E equals mc squared, and then moving on from there. Energy, it's just energy and vibration. It's kind of crazy that some of our leading scientists still think that consciousness comes from matter, when we understand that matter is an expression of the consciousness. But this is our world, and we're working with it at the time. But the idea that of the atom, especially from string theory, that it is a vibratory frequency emanated from the field, and that there is no such thing as dense matter, that it's the string theory, it's a note, it's a harmonic in a field. So having gone into these, the sciences up to the moment where we are now, and then rereading Maitreya's indication of, you will find this and you will approach this, and it's yet for this, was an interesting experience. It was also really awesome for me. So for the last couple of weeks, since Jim asked me to do this, I've immersed myself in the text, and it's not a way that I originally encountered it. It was more like a little bit day by day. So suffusing myself in it has been realizing how intense the material is.
Yeah, no, Yeah,
Yeah.
so sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Go on.
That's also reharmonizing myself to these teachings. And in my process, I found it was very interesting to do some more research and find other things related along.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah, thank you.
also realizing how much it has filtered into our collective consciousness since
Yeah. Yeah.
many things.
And also just segueing back to that, my Australian experience, that cosmologist also said to me, well, you know, if you can, always try to sleep outside, because you get the stars light so much more into your body as kind of like sleeping in a house. And it's like, yeah, clearly when it is like really nice and warm, but when it is like minus whatever, as it is in Paris now, it's a bit tricky to sleep outside. But it really stuck with me, this advice. And whenever I can in summertime, I always try to sleep outside in nature, and then always look up the stars and just like, yes, light, starlight, please come into me, and then share your wisdom with me. So we have another comment in a chat box from Eric Dale. He says, you spoke about the quality and power of invocation, of invoking cosmic forces to help in personal aspiration. I'm curious how you understand the power of the spoken word in invocations. I ask because my experience in nature, with a capital N, is that when I invoke desires or intentions out loud, there is a much greater response from animals, plants, etc.
That is fascinating to me. It's very interesting. Certainly we resonate. It's like if we sing, very often when I go into the mountains by myself, I'll be on the paths and I'll start to sing without limits.
Mm-hmm.
A new being comes out of me. It's like nature sings. I think that invocation can be aloud, it can be verbal, it can be in consciousness, it can be just of the heart. So there are many different levels of invocation. But when you're speaking especially about verbal invocation, the word was the universe, they say, is the utterance of a word, or we have the cosmic histogram, the first acoustic flux of the universe. So cosmos, we understand, is sound. And as we resonate with the sound of our will, of nature, however we use that power of sound, we are creating a resonance in the whole of nature, in the life around us, and in the universe, and from within ourselves. So definitely the science of invocation is ancient, profound, and far beyond anything I could respond to in this moment, but certainly very much yes. One of the presentations that maybe I'll share with the community at some time is just on sonification in astronomy as a new practice, where we're taking the data that we receive from the universe and we're transposing, rather than looking at it, you know, as an image, we're transposing it into sound, and we're hearing new things about the nature of the universe by transposing our data into sound. We're also learning new realms of creativity, that the universe is filled with this sound, and compose music based on the sounds that we are getting from the data of space. So cosmos is filled with sound. It is sound, not a Brahma.
Absolutely. Well, he says in a chat box, yes, thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carla, for this presentation. We are at the bottom of the hour. So unless there are no comments, then we shall see you in a month's time, and same place, same time, and look forward to another outstanding presentation of yours. Stay safe and well, and all the very best to everybody. Thank you, Rick, as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who is here, who will listen in the future. Thank you, Rick, for your wonderful technology. Thank you, Georgie, for being here and your
Thank you, dear. All the best. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.